Greetings. Welcome to Limitless Alchemy 808. I'm Patience. In my previous video, I had mentioned that the universe has shown me evidence that this is all a projection, a simulation, a story for the distraction, for the diversion of the void, the universe. They're one and the same. But leading up to that point, I've had like so many paranormal experiences, which I mentioned in a previous video that I will link in the description box. And I was looking at old posts from an app that won't be named, but it starts with an F and ends with a K, because I've been little by little downloading my personal pictures from there, and I'm gonna shut that page down because I don't even use it. I don't see the point in it. But I had seen some like old posts from over 10 years ago, and it was just the things that I was saying. The universe was breadcrumbing through me to others, and no one was really getting it at the time. But that's because I didn't really understand what I was saying, or I did, but I didn't quite grasp the true meaning of what I was saying, because I was still under the impression that life was happening to me, not for me, that I was a human having a soul experience, not vice versa, that I am not God, which is an actual lie. I am God, and so are you. But what began the process of my awareness, of my, I wouldn't call it, I guess you could call it awakening, because I became fully conscious and then was shown these instances, was that when Alpha and I had reconnected, he had been reading tarot for a little while, and he would do readings for me. And then I just started watching readings on YouTube, which I still do. And it was just kind of like a snowball effect. And then when I ingested the mycopia specimens on the 331 portal of what was it, 2024, that is when I received the downloads that everything that had been troubling me, had been plaguing me, had been gnawing at me, was true, because I was gaslighting myself for so long that what I was thinking, what I was having dreams about, could never be true, could never have happened, could never have existed. And once I confronted and rejected that old timeline, that old programming, it's just a snowball effect from there. And I mean, it's not all the time. I mean, it is, but these really large scale, undeniable experiences, which I have mentioned in other videos before, but I can't remember which ones they are. I can remember one, So I'll put it in the end screen, and I'll also put the playlist that these videos are probably in. And if you'd like to, please comment down below when you find the video that mentions each instance. But the universe guided me to just collect them all up, put all my shit in a bag, and present it to you all here in this video. And it's so interesting because the readings that I was watching, the readings that Alta was giving me, they had nothing to do with the past that I was going to confront. But once I confronted that past, the readings completely changed. They began talking about what I was doing, how I was doing it, and that I am doing the best thing for my preferred timeline, for my highest preferred timeline to experience me. That I'm on the correct path. I'm on the path. I'm on the thorough way to becoming ancestor. I also talked about my past and everything that went on with it, so I can link that video in the description box, but I believe it's in the activations playlist. So please, if you feel guided to watch, I'm certain it's because there's something in there that will activate you and set you on the course for your highest preferred timeline experiencing you. That's what this channel is all about. It's a divine reflection of you, of the fact that you are in alignment with your highest excitements, and that you already have everything that you want, or else you wouldn't want it. But just kind of going down the list in my mind here. So once I confronted that timeline and rejected it, threw it away, put it in the recycle bin, emptied that recycle bin, the readings changed, and then I began reading, and that's how I started this channel. I started this channel reading tarot, but I was very doubtful. I still had a lot of limiting beliefs and just, I mean, even now I'm still kind of like hesitant to take a certain step, but then I'm reminding myself that I'm just practicing patience, that I'm just allowing the universe to work things out for me rather than chasing outcomes and forcing the next chapter. I'm in my receptive embodiment now. So I mean, that's not to say I don't take inspired actions. That's not to say that I don't do stuff, but I'm no longer worried about what's going to happen. I'm no longer fearful of the future. I mean, I still have anxiety every now and then. I feel though it's just because of the collective energy, because we're all working through these aspects. We're all overcoming these aspects. And, you know, I mean, we're all empaths, but when we align and identify and allow that character trait, it's gonna be present until you no longer allow it. And I'm happy. I'm fine being an empath. I love feeling my feelings, and if I'm feeling the feelings of others, it allows me to be of service to them, be of service to you, be of service to us all. Another instance, well, I believe this was the first one, was not too long after my former ex and I broke up. Well, my youngest and I, we were going for a walk in the neighborhood at night. It was like, I think, end of August, and we're walking, and I see this shadow cast on the ground from the street lamp that we were under, and I thought it was a moth, and I was like, oh, it's a moth. So I turned and looked, and it was a fairy. It had a tiny body, about that big, and these very large, fluffy feather boa wings that were the lightest whisper of gray. And I turned and I saw the arms and legs and the wings, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a fairy. And I told my son, look, it's a fairy. And once I said that, she began darting across the street, because he turned to look, and she darted across the street, and I go, you see her, right? And he's like, yes, I do. I see that, Mom, it's a fairy. And I was like, cool, okay, good. And then she got to the other side of the street, and there were these like ivy hedges, and once she was over the hedges, she just disappeared into thin air. She just disappeared. And there had been a dog that was barking the whole time. It was up in a backyard at the top of the incline, because there was the street, and then there was an incline, and then houses. And we ran across the street to go look and see if there was like any trace of her, even though we'd seen her disappear into nothingness. And we ran across the street just to see, and my son was like, Mom, what about the dog? And I was like, he'll be quiet, don't worry about him. And soon enough after that, he stopped barking, and I was like, okay. So didn't see anything, and I asked him, I was like, you saw what I saw, right? He's like, yes, I did. And I haven't seen her since then, but I'm certain she comes around every now and again, and I'll more than likely see her again, or others, you know. But I just thought that was really cool. And then I mean, this was the biggest evidence that we are in a simulation, in a projection, because I really haven't heard anyone talk about this. And when I told my sister the other day in text about it, she was like, oh my gosh, how scary, like, weren't you afraid? And I was like, not really. I was oddly calm throughout the whole experience, because it just switched something in me. And I was speaking to my ex when it was like about a month after we had broken up. We still had to live together because our lease wasn't up until February. And so we were just like, okay, we can coexist till then. Well, I had come home from the office and the kids were with their dad, and he was there, and we were talking, and I was venting my frustrations about certain things. And then I told him, I was like, I'm through entertaining clowns. And right in that moment, the whole room became saturated red-orange. It kind of looked like a TV screen from the 1980s. And everything in the room had a hard graphic black outline and like shading. It kind of looked like a comic book. And my ex turned into static. His complete form was sitting on the chase of our couch, and I was sitting on a chair diagonally, maybe about 3 feet between us. And his complete form just turned to static. And he started to fade away. And I said to myself, oh, okay, I see now. I was like, you know what? That's okay. He can come back. And once I said that in my mind, he reappeared in how I perceive him. And he saw my face. And I was just like, you almost just faded out right in front of my eyes. You turned into static and you were fading out, but I allowed you to come back. And he's not one to believe in paranormal things, or, I mean, he's a Capricorn, so enough said. But I know that him being around me has changed his perception, and he was very startled. He was very frightened when I told him that. And he never mentioned it to me again. And I noticed him started doing other things, mirroring me in a lot of ways with his own timeline. But after that, there was a big timeline glitch that I experienced. Well, a couple timeline glitches that I experienced. One was Alpha and I were hanging out, and we're driving in my car, and we had taken his disabled placard with us, put it in my glove compartment, went back to the apartment, and I had dropped him off because he was parked in my space, and I dropped him off over by my apartment and then went park on the street. And he was waiting for me, and I was in my car grabbing my stuff. I go, oh, let me get the placard. And then my intuition said, oh, just leave it there, it's okay. And I said, and then the ego said, no, I have to get it, because if we leave later, I don't know whose car we're gonna take, so I better just give it to Alpha. So I took the placard, I put it in my purse, and the placard is taller than my purse at the time. I use a little mini backpack now, but with Pachaco on it, so cute. But I put it in my purse, and I was walking to my apartment. Down the stairs on the other side, there were more apartments, and there were some kids hanging out, and they were just, making noise. And as I walked by, a certain noise made me turn and look at them, and they were looking at me, and I was like, okay. And then I went to my apartment, and I told Al about what had happened. And I took the placard out of my purse. I handed it to him. He took it from me. He put it under his cushion on his chair, where, you know, on the free space on the right side. And we went inside the apartment. We're hanging out. Maybe like an hour, couple hours go by, and we decide we want to go back out. And I was like, well, you have your placard. Can you drive now? And so he goes, okay. And then he gets in his chair and he's like, oh no, my placard. I was like, what? You put it under your cushion. It should be in your chair. He's like, you didn't give it to me. I was like, yes, I did. I gave you the placard and you took it from my hand and put it under your cushion. I remember. He's like, I don't remember that. And I was like, well, and he goes, maybe it fell out when you turned. And I was like, no, because I handed it to you. I go, but humoring him, I went out, looked around. It wasn't there. It wasn't around. Because I had given it to him. And he, to this day, says he still doesn't remember me giving it to him. And I'm like, well, I mean, it was easy enough for him to get a replacement, but it was like as if I had listened to my intuition, then I wouldn't have experienced that timeline shift. I mean, who knows? Maybe a 4D being came and stole it. I mean, anything is possible. Possibilities are limitless. But another experience that I had was on December 13th of 2024. I was hanging out at my apartment waiting for them to call me for my tattoo because, you know, it was a long list. And then I didn't live too far from where I was getting it at. So they text me, they were like, oh, we're ready for you. I was like, oh shoot, let me hop in the car. So I start driving over and I'm waiting at the light to turn. And I look down and the time says 4:44 and I'm like, oh yay, thank you universe. Like, so grateful for all the stability and support in my timeline. And then I'm driving and singing and the song finishes and I look down and it still says 4:44. And I was like, I sang a whole song. How is it still 4:44? And there was another time that I had experienced that during the summer when I was watching the tarot videos, and I was watching a video and I was at the office and I looked down at the time. Can't recall what time it was, but then I went back watching the video and I had watched the video for a good 4 or 5 minutes, and when I looked down, the time was still the same, and it was the time on the computer. It wasn't anything else. I mean, I didn't control that clock. There's no way that I could have changed the time or anything like that. And at that moment, I was just like, like it didn't even dawn on me. Even though I was coming into consciousness, even though I was coming into awareness, it still hadn't clicked. And then all those other things happened. So then when 4:44 was hanging out, I was just like, oh, okay, nice. Well, time is an illusion. Time works for me. Time works for you. We have more than enough time to do everything we want to do. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you to do something, as long as you do it. But that was just like the biggest things that I've experienced, and there's just been other moments, like little things here and there, where I'll instantly manifest parking spaces. I've manifested clothing for so long. Even before I was conscious. And then manifested friends back into my life, or they manifested me back into their lives. But either way, it's meant to be, because there's parts of our stories, the chapters that haven't been written, that have been written but haven't been played out yet. And so I was just it's just so cool. I mean, there's also just been little things here and there. I mean, time still stands still in moments for me, but there was another instance where I had a bunch of little things in my hand. I don't really recall what they were, but I was handing them to my eldest, and when I looked down, one of the things was gone. It was as if it never existed. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we didn't need it. So it's just been, and then just all the different dreams and downloads and visions and premonitions. And I mean, I have everything written in my journal, but I wanted to share these instances with all of you because I just pray that it activates you to not worry so much, to not be so hard on yourself, and to not be fearful anymore. There's so much going on within the story right now that more and more of us who focus on what we truly want, what we truly align with, that is how the new experience is coming in. That is how the experience that the void has been cultivating is going to come in, because we're being called back to our awareness. We're being called back to the knowing that we are at the center, that we are at home, and that we are here to enjoy, have fun, and to find love. We're here to create beauty. We're here to create chaos, to create confusion, to create mess. And all of it is perfect. All of it is perfect, because if God is perfect and we're all made in the exact likeness of God, then we are perfect. We can't be anything else. When you have a perfectionist mindset, is because you believe that you're not perfect, that you can't attain perfection, and that everything that you do is lacking. That is a perfectionist mindset. Then when others say, oh, well, you have a huge ego and this and this and that. Okay, fine. Sure. I have a huge ego because God has a huge ego. Big dick energy. Get some for yourself. So I'm just here to reflect to you the greatest aspects of yourself, to reflect how much confidence, how much value, and how much worth that you give yourself. And I'm just so proud. I'll see you in the next one. Stay soft, stay sweet, and stay pure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, so that this message, this transmission, this download reaches around the globe, because that's what we're here for, to connect and share. So, see you soon.